Okay, I think we did it this time. Dr. Ruth Anderson here with Enlightened World Network. I'm here with my beautiful soul sisters, Teri Angel and Deb Goldberg. The impetus for this show, we were sitting at a diner in Fort Lauderdale. It was Lester's Diner, and we were having a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Now, this was just 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks? 1 week. 2 weeks? And it was such a beautiful thing to be able to sit. Oh, there's a picture of us right behind Teri. Thank you for that's us. And it was so cool, because we were in the same place at the same time without being in little boxes. And we were enjoying our breakfast. And we started having this conversation about body image and the foods that we were choosing to eat and the years of feeling like we needed to be right in step with what society said we needed to be thinking about our bodies and ourselves and the foods that we eat and all of those things. And we thought, gosh, how many other people, knowing it's everybody, faces these same issues, and why, as spiritual beings living in a physical body, don't we have the conversation about what that's like for us? So here we are, having the conversation about what that's like for us. And this is really meant to be a casual, comfortable, come sit at the table with us kind of conversation. And today we want to just kind of dig deep into body image and what are some of the things that we've been facing, really probably as far back as we can remember. How has that impacted us? And as a spiritual being, where does that fit into all of this? So welcome to the table. Welcome to Mimi's Diner. And the reason it's called Mimi's Diner is because when we were in Florida, just this last week, we were staying at Mimi's house. And so much of what we experienced together was at Mimi's home. So it's Mimi's Diner. And what's on your plate? So please feel free to share in the comments if this topic speaks to you, if you've been impacted by it throughout your life as we have. So ladies, welcome. Welcome to Mimi's Diner. And it's, I struggle with seeing you in a box again, but I'm so thankful that I get to see you in a box again. So it feels like we're back together in some ways. Certainly better than the phone, right? Better than the telephone.
Absolutely. And it is good to be back together with the two of you. When we were together, we were constantly immersed in each other's energy. And then we went off on our different paths to our own individual homes. And there's like something missing. So I'm so glad that we're doing this. I'm glad that the angels led. And it was totally angel led when we were sitting there together and that inspiration hit. It was like, okay, this is next. It's next on our plate.
So to speak. Yes. Yes. So let's talk about body image. And, something struck me this morning, just the term body image. Is that a positive connotation for you? Is it, right, Teri, me too. It's no, Deb, it's like, no, body image, ugh, right? You just automatically go to the ugh. So what's your first memory of body image?
It's been a lifelong struggle for me, Ruth. When I was young kid, teenager, I was so skinny, and I would look at other girls my age, and I'm like, why am I not like them? So there was always a comparison, even at a young age, of how I saw my body and how I saw their body. And that's continued my whole life until recently, thank God, until about 6 years ago, when I really started to accept myself more for the spiritual being that I am, and the human being. It's the journey that I'm on, but it's not me. It's not all of me. So I think when we're younger, especially, that's our world. Our human body is our world. It's what we are. It's how we present ourselves. And I have never been happy in the human body that I was in. And the way it looked, the way I sounded, everything about it, I just wasn't happy with it. And so it's something that's very prevalent. And I think a lot of people are resonating to that, that the struggles that we go through with seeing ourselves, and what do we see in the mirror? What do we see when we look in the mirror, and picking apart all the flaws.
Right.
Everything we see, we criticize ourselves. We're our own worst critic. So when we look in that mirror, the physical mirror, we're going to, first of all, go to what the flaw is instead of going to what the beauty is. And we can change that. And that's the power of waking up and really knowing, being aware of who we are. We can pivot away from all of that criticism. And when we look in the mirror, look at the real us and not just the human body.
Right. Thanks for that, Teri. Deb, what's your first memory of body image?
Yeah, it's interesting because I had to think for a minute of the first issues. So I started to mature body-wise very young. And so that created a lot of attention towards my body. And then I would get teased, even though I got a lot of male attention. But I also got teased because my breasts were bigger than maybe my friends or the other people in the grade that I was in. And so that created this weird uncomfortability. It was probably, I, on one hand, liked maybe getting some attention, but I did not like getting attention because of my breasts. And so then I started to feel that my breasts were too big as a teenager, that they were not the right size because they were this obvious thing that people pointed out because I was younger and shapely. And then I think I started to worry about what I was eating and comparing myself to other people, other females. And so it's very stressful. It is very stressful when you start picking apart your body and not liking your wholeness, that you might pick apart and say, oh, well, I like my eyes, or I like my hair, or I like my nose, or I don't like this and I don't like that. And then you become so focused on those areas rather than seeing the beauty of who you are and the body that you have been given. And then we all know that by all of those thoughts we have, we just start shaping our body differently because of the way that we think about our body.
I think I remember my first real time of being aware of it. I think I was in about 4th grade, and I had this tummy that I didn't know how to get rid of. And I mentioned it to my father, which, why in the world? Why? I could see maybe my mother, but my father. And he made a comment that felt discounting and rude to me. And it might have been as, I'm going to say innocent, as, well, you need to exercise, right? I mean, it might have just been that. And I took it as, it's your fault. You're a glutton. You are lazy. You're not doing what you should do. And it was probably a pretty level-headed comment, but boy, I just internalized it in so many ways. And right now, I don't like my body shape. And my biggest mentor in not liking my body shape was my sister, who I adore, who's 5 years older than me. And she was the champion of hate your body. So I looked up to that. I resonated with that. And I mean, we did the tab. Anybody remember drinking tab? I mean, it, tasted like some very bizarre chemical concoction, but I mean, I had like a slow drip of tab throughout my teen years. And then I did the slow drip of Diet Coke. And, I've been able to step away from that. But boy, talk about detoxing as I stepped away from that. So it's been, I'm 60 now. So it's been probably a 53-year journey of not liking this body. Mm-hmm. And really, when I look in the mirror, I see me from here up. Mm-hmm. I don't even look below. Mm-hmm. Some people are shorts people. I don't own a pair of shorts. The reason I don't own a pair of shorts is because I can't stand my legs, right? I mean, it's so, if I lived in Florida where it's like, oh my God, so hot all the time, my clothes might be different than they are, but here where I am, I can easily be covered up all the time. And I'm more comfortable that way. So boy, that whole body image thing. And Stacy says she felt it since she was young because she was too thin with no shape and she got made fun of. So I know that society feeds this to us on a silver platter. Look on any magazine, look on any commercial, right? If there's a commercial with somebody who's a little heavy, it's for weight loss. It's not because they're living a joyous, fulfilled life. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Such awesome information coming out of this from what you're talking, Ruth and Teri. It's still programming. It's still programming. And the programming starts at home. And all the years that I've worked with people, I have never met somebody that had a body image issue that their mother did not have a body image issue, or there was somebody else in the family doing that behavior, or a father that said things that felt unkind and then they were internalized the wrong way, like what you're talking. So this starts at the get-go, and then you go to school. Yeah. And then you start having other kids in school making comments, comparing. And as we all know now, that's all ego stuff. That's all that it is. But the damage that it creates emotionally and to your body is amazing. So when I worked with people, and men also have body image issues, but females are more prevalent to have body image issues. And so when I say, your mom or somebody else, doesn't mean that has a body image issue. It is low self-esteem about your body. It doesn't mean that somebody's engaged in an eating disorder. It doesn't mean that they're dieting all the time. I'm talking about how they perceive their own body. And you know that and you feel that from watching your parent, just from seeing them. It doesn't even have to be said.
Right. Right. I think for me, the saddest part is seeing how it has defined me. I have allowed it to define me. And I have seen my sister, who is 65, it has defined her. It has defined how much she loves herself, how much she allows other people to love her. It's actually kind of frightening how that more so than any other thing in her adult life has defined her. There was a period of about 6 months where she felt good about herself. And that's it.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's sad. And, you know, as children, especially, we want to be accepted by our peers. We want to fit in with the crowd. And when you're uncomfortable in the skin that you're in,
Right.
that's not going to happen because you don't feel worthy. And it sounds like, Ruth, that's what happened with your sister too, that not feeling worthy to be part of. And so you shut the door. You don't allow anybody to make a comment to you that might be hurtful. You just shut all of that out. And I know that's what I did. You know, I didn't want to hear it. And a lot of the misconception about bullying among kids is that they bully people that are overweight, but the bullying happens on all levels. So even, you know, being skinnier than everybody else, that was also brought out, you know, and made fun of. So it's really, it's how we see ourselves. And then we allow that bullying to take place. We're reflecting back to others. I'm not comfortable right now. You know, I don't like me. And so that energy goes out even to kids, to each other. And so they pick up on that and start jabbing, you know, digging in. And it's unfortunate that that happens as well.
It's amazing to imagine, because we understand how consciousness works, that it's always a reflection of your own mind. So you're getting feedback consciously of what is in your own thought process, even as a young child. It is coming back to you about your own self. And so then you start seeing more and more of it and getting more and more of it. And so, you know, this is really a parenting issue of understanding how your own self-image affects your child rearing, and being more conscious of it, because you can't tell your kids to do one thing and you do something else. It just doesn't work. And you have to role model. And, you know, I know that as I got into teenage years, you know, then it was dieting and, you know, I had to look a certain way, and the stress is just amazing. And it doesn't need to be that way, because what we're all saying is, I'm not enough. I'm not enough, or there's something not right because my eyes are this color, or my body's shaped this way, or my toes are little, or because I used to call my toes Flintstone feet, my feet, because they're short. And now I figured, oh, well, they fit my body. They're perfect for my body. So yeah, the deterioration of our self-worth and self-esteem is just horrible based on what we look at. But you know, we do look at people, and we do make ideas about what people look like. We do the judgment thing, whether somebody's looks good enough, what you're attracted to, right? What they don't look good enough as, what needs to be changed in their body. And all it is a reflection of self-hatred, of what you accept in your body and what you don't accept in others.
Teri, what were you going to say?
No, I was just agreeing with Deb. You know, it's like that perception. And yeah, you mentioned, I think it was you, Deb, that mentioned the family and, you know, the parenting that happens. But I don't ever remember either of my parents saying anything about me being skinny or, you know, not being comfortable with who I was. I always felt like I was in the wrong family. I didn't belong in that family I was in. I was kind of like the odd one, you know, the outsider. So I never got any encouragement, or never really heard the words, I love you, or you're enough, or any of that, or even felt that, not more or less the spoken word, but the just embracing me as for who I was. So that was another big part of the image. You know, it's like, well, I must be really weird. Nobody wants to hug me. Nobody wants to say, I love you. So that just adds in there to that whole mental process of, you know, my body's ugly, I'm not lovable. All of that stuff goes into our subconscious, and it's there until we can bring that out to work on. And it's really tough when you got that type of environment working, also with you seeing yourself in that way and comparing to others. So it was really hard growing up with that.
It is.
Go ahead, Deb.
Yeah, it is very hard. And then we become the bully inside our own self.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So, you know, we see bullies outside and we become the bully to our own self. And then we bully ourselves until, you know, I know that I still have thoughts like that now. And I have to correct them. I have to say, this isn't true. I'm not going there. And so really part of, I guess, because we're talking about spiritual processes too in this, is how do you stop bullying yourself and accepting yourself and your wholeness of, you know, we were talking before about you being a divine being and that it's perfection, and how your eyes are seeing you has nothing to do with really the truth of who you are. And you're not seeing yourself through divine eyes. And when you start seeing yourself with divine eyes, your body becomes beautiful because you start to accept your wholeness and your beauty and not look at yourself as a limb or an organ or your skin or anything like that. But it is such a journey. It is a huge journey to get to that place.
It is, and Julie is saying that she still has body images. Her family called her fat growing up. That's, yeah, man, guys, we. Well, and part of me wonders, was that said so she would do something about it, so she would fit in more? You know what I mean? I mean, as a parent, sometimes you say something and it's not to hurt your child, but to help them do whatever needs to do so they fit in more, so they're more accepted. You know, I can so see that happening. And yes, sometimes people are just mean, right? I mean, sometimes people just want to hurt you. I don't know that that's always the case, though. And then what about aging? I mean, I think there was, you know, a time, okay, so I beat myself mercilessly until I was probably 30, and then started working out like crazily amounts and felt good about myself. And then, you know, stopped working out, and then you go into the beating yourself again, and then getting older. And you look in the mirror and you go, who is that? Right? I mean, I felt bad about it before, and now look at that. And it's only thinking it's only going to go downhill from here. So do we all get like a sweet spot of, okay, I'm looking good this week, right? And that's it. But boy, the self-flogging about getting older. Yikes.
Yeah. You know, it made me think about in my 30s, I was under a lot of stress, and I've had psoriasis throughout my life since I was 18. And it got really bad, and it flared up, and I had it all over my body. And I was at the doctor's office, and I told her, I said, it hurts to look at my body. My body hurts, my skin hurts, but it hurts to look at my body. And she told me not to look at it. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I thought, is this good advice or is it not? And I thought, well, really, how much attention do I need to really give to my body that looking at it hurts me? Wow. And you know, at first I thought, well, that was kind of just not a good advice. But afterwards I started to thinking, well, how much do I need to look at it, and wish it was something else when it's not at the moment, and how to deal with that. And then how do I go outside, and how do I wear shorts and stuff like that. And I just decided that I need to be comfortable more in a physical way than in an emotional way. And I wore shorts and I wore dresses, and the sun's actually good for your skin too when you have a condition like that. So yeah, it was a very interesting process to go through of how do I deal with this? How do I deal with something that I don't have any control over at the moment?
But Deb, the pain, I can feel the pain in that. Just don't look at yourself. Just divorce yourself
Yeah.
from that body.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you do that? Boy, the missing the love for your body. What if you had instead turned around and said, okay, this is the body I've got. I love you. We're in this together, right? Rather than disconnecting yourself from it.
Right. And at that point in my life, I was not awake. I wasn't conscious. And I just, I didn't know how to handle that. And so, it's interesting to see when these things occur in your life. So we're talking about younger things, but here's something that happened when I was 40, and other people deal with these things all the time. They have skin conditions, or they lose a limb, or something happens that really changes their body, that makes it look deformed in some way. And then, dealing with people looking at me and going, what is that? Is that contagious? Like, I don't want to come near you. Then I would have to tell people it's not contagious. It's okay. You're not going to catch anything. It is really interesting, all the different things that you go through when it comes to your body.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm sorry, Ruth.
Go ahead, Tara.
I was going to say, along that same line, I've had a lot of physical illnesses and physical problems in my life. And from a young age, I've had surgeries. So I have scars all over my body. And that was always hard. I just wanted to cover up my arms. I wanted to wear something long sleeved all the time because I didn't want people to see the scars on my arm. And I went through dialysis for 8 months. And so I still have scars from it. Those will never go away. And there was the thought, that if people saw my arm, they'd think I was a drug addict because there were all these, needle scars in my arm.
Right.
But that's another thing, it doesn't have to be the loss of a limb. It can be the deformity from something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, so, and my question too, when you're so busy hating your body, does that set us up for other health issues?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because that's where your mentality is. That's where your emotional level is. And anything that you're doing to tear yourself down opens you up to be, to invite more things in. To maybe, you talk on a DNA level and how we carry so many things forward from our families in our DNA that don't show up. Lots of it doesn't show up, right? But the more stress that you put yourself under emotionally, it teases out other whatever you want to call them, that diseases or sicknesses or whatever illnesses that you have potential for to come out.
Stress.
Mm-hmm. It's all stress. It's all stress. So these are painful topics, and even somebody had mentioned how painful it is to talk about. It's a hard subject. Jean says it's a really hard subject to talk about in an expansive way. I mean, we went from just looking at our body as from a child to then having to deal with medical conditions or illnesses that shift your body in ways that are really uncomfortable. And it's funny because for a long time, my husband would say things to me, and then I would be like, why is he saying that to me about my body? And they were not kind. And I thought, because that's what I think about my own body. I am just seeing a reflection of me not accepting my own body. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, this is another marital issue, right? Is that here's your spouse, whether I've seen wives tell their husband how ugly they are because maybe they're overweight, they don't want to have anything to do with them, or whatever the case might be. And so it works both ways. We can be mean. Both genders can be just as mean, be passive aggressive with each other, aggressive. And so when normally you would get so offended when your spouse would tell you something about your body. But when I sat back and I realized he's just telling me what I'm thinking about my own body. And when I switch how I feel about my body, well, then he's going to have a different response. It's as easy as that. We don't realize it, but it is as easy as that. I changed the condition of how I see myself, and therefore so do other people.
But that's interesting, Deb, because when my husband compliments me, I completely shut it down. I completely dismiss it. And it's like, oh no, because I don't see it myself.
Right? You're always getting both sides. You're getting the divine side and you're getting the unconscious side together in your consciousness brought back to you. And so you'll have people say not nice things and you will have beautiful things said to you. And it's really starting to see that you're seeing both sides of your consciousness. And they're both there for a reason.
And when we're not feeling that good about our own self, whether it's the body, the way we talk, the way we walk, whatever it is, and we get a compliment, it's like we can't believe it. We can't accept it. So we push that away. I do that too, Ruth. It's like, what do you mean? So it's something that's, those old tapes have to come up to be healed. And I don't know who coined the phrase, you have to feel it to heal it, but it's true. It's true. You do have to go to that place where that tape is sitting inside of you. And like you were saying, Deb, I accept myself now. Just change that perspective. Turn away from what you've always known, what was comfortable for you to think of yourself as ugly, think of yourself as fat, think of yourself as too thin, whatever it might be. And to open up to possibilities that, well, maybe what they said is true. Maybe that compliment somebody gave me is accurate and I'm just not able to see it because I've got a barrier sitting out in front of me that was my comfort zone of always criticizing myself. And I think it was Linda Lemieux that said, we're our worst critics. We criticize ourselves and say to ourselves things that we would never say to somebody else. And all of that can be changed. Yeah, just like you're the living proof of that. You can change the way you see yourself and change that perspective. And that's the part that has to shift so that we can accept the compliments and we can accept all that positive energy that comes to us. So I'm loving this conversation. And it was, I think it was Jean Loriot that said that it was difficult to talk about this, to have this discussion. And when Ruth, you told us this morning, we're going to talk about body image, something in me went, oh no, it's that immediate tightening up in the stomach. It's like, do I have to?
Yeah.
But I'm glad we are. I'm glad we're having this discussion out in the open.
Yeah. So Linda's also saying mine was also a control issue to get back. No one can make me lose weight. So it gives me control. I now have control, so I don't need that wall anymore. which is awesome, Linda. What great work. But yeah, then it becomes a control issue, and that feeds into eating disorders of nobody's going to tell me what to eat. And it feeds into so much of when we make a stance, and then we get, we're just like, this is my coping mechanism to deal with other people. And then it actually sabotages yourself. And it's awful. It is. We do such self-destructive behavior, you know. So getting back to spiritual practices again, is that this is all ego consciousness. It's all victim consciousness. And as we keep growing and awakening more and more, it is switching from believing those thoughts of ego consciousness, because that's who the bully is, and saying, I can step higher. I can go to the next higher place and start saying to myself, I don't really need to do that to myself, and I don't have to listen to those thoughts. And when they come, I could just say stop. I say stop a lot. I just like, stop it. I'm not going there. We're not having that conversation today. And you know, it's very helpful if you can get some kind of image in your mind, like a stop sign or whatever it is that works for you, that you catch yourself in the thought as it's coming and shut it down and say, this is not a thought I'm willing to give any energy, because it destroys me. And we're moving into accepting more of your divine authenticity, your authentic self. Of, you don't have those kind of thoughts. Spirit does not have those type of thoughts. It only sees you as divine perfection. And then we also know that the body's not even real, right? That this is an illusion. So when you sit back and go, oh my God, how much time have I spent on disliking my body or parts of it? And how much time have I hurt my own heart and mind, and then actually hurt other people because of my inability to accept my perfection. And it's all part of our spiritual growth. And we do this in so many different ways. But body image and food were gigantic on my list, just like it is on yours and other people that are listening to us. And it's time to grow, and it's time to let go of that. It's like 50 years old or 60-year-old thought that just keeps recycling over and over and over again, and there's no truth to it. None.
What was fascinating for me was when COVID hit, that, you know, we're in the middle of this global pandemic for the first time ever in our lives, right? And so you're facing your mortality potentially. And for me, my comfort, because my family, my, you know, birth family really isn't in existence anymore, was food. That was my comfort. And part of me thought, well, if I'm going to die, why would I die on a diet, right? I'm going to eat the things that bring me comfort. So I don't normally eat bread. I just don't love it. It doesn't make me feel good. So, but I'm eating bread, I'm eating Easter candy, I'm eating refined sugar, I'm drinking diet sodas again, which, you know, science will tell you packs weight on around your middle. I gained 10 pounds with COVID, which was ridiculous, because it's just ridiculous. What an odd place to think you're finding comfort from food, in particular foods that don't do your body any good. So what was that? So I'm still trying to work off the COVID 10, right? I don't want to be doing that right now, but I'm doing that right now. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, as much as we hate ourselves when we gain weight, for how many of us is that the comfort when we soothe ourselves through food?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a whole nother topic that we were going to get into next week, is we're soothing ourselves with all kinds of things. I've done it. I still do it. I still get, maybe I'm a little frustrated or something's going on, or even I'm having a really good moment and I'm going to the freezer and pulling out an ice cream pop. And I'm like, okay, who's doing this right now? How old am I? I'm 12, and this is my response to whatever I'm feeling inside. Is a 12-year-old wants an ice cream pop, and it's really fascinating actually to watch it and witness what is going on, and then trying to use your skills to say, okay, is it okay to have an ice cream pop? Because you know what, it is. Or, or do we have to eat one every day? And so I think, getting to the place of saying, how can I be the best parent to myself? How do I be the best mama or papa to myself so that I am not doing this up and down thing of allowing the Indians to run the show here because I don't know how to deal with my pain at the moment, or joy. It works both ways. How many times do we go out and celebrate when we're feeling great, right? and then taking control as a loving parent, a loving adult.
Deb, I'm just laughing because I can't even fathom what that phrase is. Let the Indians run the show. What's the phrase? What is that phrase?
You never heard that before?
No. And I'm thinking, in light of today's culture, maybe let's not use that one.
Okay. No offense. It is about your little selves running the show.
There we go. I'll go with that one.
It is your little selves running the show, and they do all day long, and we have no idea how much they are in control of what happens in our life. And that's still part of that thinking process that we have about our body image. It's that little child still upset.
Right. Jean Lorio just wrote the funniest thing. Jean says, comic relief, me to Ruth. I gained 11 pounds, but you've been dieting too long when you feed the cat and think, I bet that would taste good on a cracker. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, we actually, Jean, we need to laugh. We need to laugh about all of this because we take it way too seriously. And learning how to have humor is what helps you heal.
It lightens your energy. And that's the thing with, when we talk about the body and feeling so heavy sometimes, and it's been a yo-yo for me my whole adult life. It's like I'll do the diet and then I'll just throw all of that out the window and do what I want. And then I find myself back at the diet. So we need the laughter. We need to lighten up. And that's where I have been for the past couple of years now, is really not taking it so heavy, just letting it happen and being committed to that, to stripping away whatever is not needed. And for me, during COVID, I never had that thought of, okay, I'll just have all those things that I want to have and I've always loved, instead of what I know is good for this body right now. I never had that thought, interestingly. So I knew and intuitively knew I wasn't going to get sick with the virus. I wasn't going to die from it. So I was okay to maintain and just keep doing what I had been doing, going the route I've been going to really take care of myself. And last year was a real challenge for me. And then after I survived breast cancer, it was like, okay, I made it through that. I can make it through anything. So COVID was just like, okay, we got COVID now. So I didn't really go into the panic mode like I think I could have if it had been like the biggest thing that had happened to me in a while. So the thing is that our perspective and our commitments, and that's what we really are getting at, is what's your commitment to changing your your view of yourself. How are you seeing yourself? And Deb, you touched on this many times throughout this conversation, that we can change those takes. We can pull that out and say, yeah, I don't want to go there. I'm not going to go there, and just make the decision. It's going to be different going forward. When one of my mentors is Lisa Nichols. I love her so much, and I talk about her a lot, but she really changed my life when I heard her say, you don't have to go back and erase anything. You don't have to change all of those years, all of those memories, all those experiences to start fresh and start anew right now, this moment. Just make that decision. And that's the way it is going forward. And for me, when I make a commitment, I'm committed. It's like there's no going back on that. So I think this time for me has been one of just staying strong in my commitment and knowing that each moment is the only moment that I really have. So if I'm true to my commitment, then I'm not going to reach for the ice cream. I'm not going to sit with a pint of ice cream at night and eat the whole thing. It's like I know what I need to feed my body. So that's my commitment to me. And even in difficult times, we can still stay committed if we look at it in the now moment. If we look at each moment as that new opportunity to maintain what we are committed to. And that's where I'm at, and that's where I've been. And I didn't get the COVID-19 pounds. Thank you, God.
We did that for you.
You did it for me. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. You know, it was interesting in silent meditation this morning, and we didn't get to debrief it because, you know, technology went astray, and then so did we. But what we had seen in our silent meditation this morning was the three of us, and frankly, all of you all were there too, which was so cool. But it was a ceremony, and it was a commitment to each other that when we step out of that place of seeing ourselves as beautiful, vibrant souls, we will remind each other that that's what we are. And that's the community that we bring you, is that we see you as a beautiful, divine soul. And what I'm hearing from you two is for me to make that commitment to myself, that that's how I will view myself, and not get caught up in the 3D-ness.
Me too.
Amen. Amen. Spot on. Spot on, Ruth. Is that we need to see our perfection at every moment. Even if you're eating ice cream. Even if you're eating ice cream, it doesn't matter. You are divine perfection in every moment.
And if you're gonna eat ice cream, be like Marietta and enjoy it. Don't flog yourself while you're doing it.
Yes.
Own it and enjoy it.
Exactly. No guilt.
No guilt.
No judgment.
Just love.
Just love.
And Ruth, I want to add too that it was so awesome during that silent meditation time that as we visualize with each other and we see each other together doing this work. But this morning you saw everyone that comes in regularly, all the people that we see their names constantly and we know that they're there, they're supporting us, they're being supported by us. And I just wanted to share that because it's not just us three, it's all of us. We're all family.
Yeah.
It's a community for sure. And we're all lifting each other up.
I hope that when we experience those kinds of things, because we've seen our community come together in meditation before, I hope that they get to feel that. I hope they get to experience that in some way, because it's so gratifying for us to feel that love and see each other in divine spirit like that. I just hope other folks get to feel that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that
Setting intention.
mm-hmm. I'm sure that they do. I believe everybody feels the love.
So, ladies, we just have a couple minutes left. How would you like to close this segment of Mimi's Diner?
I would like to everyone make a commitment in their own way, however that works for you, that you're not going to listen to that voice anymore, that bully voice inside your head, and that you're going to work on bringing more love and compassion to yourself when you hear that and not listen to it. So however each one of you do that, whatever tool works for you, whether it's a stop sign or something else, that you help correct not listening to it, that there's no truth to it.
What I just saw with that, Deb, is going up to that bully, who of course looks like me, and giving her a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And loving her rather than trying to shove her away, because that hasn't worked all this time. Loving her.
Yeah. More love, more compassion to yourself.
I love that, Deb. And what I would like to encourage people to do is go to your mirror. Go to your physical mirror. We all have them. It's like this necessity in life, right? And I used to avoid it. I used to avoid it, even looking in the mirror when I would get up in the morning and just go right past it. And like, I don't want to see that, you know. But I'm going to encourage everyone to go to your mirror and really look in your eyes. Don't look at any flaws. You'll find everything you want to find there, all the flaws, all the things that you see as imperfections. But look in your eyes and just say, I love you. And one thing that I started doing, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for about 5 years now, I think. I drew a big heart right in the center of my mirror, my bathroom mirror, so that when I walk in there in the morning, I'm going to brush my teeth, wash my face falls right in the center of that heart. And then up above it, I have written, I love you. And if you can do that practice, you can write it in anything. You can write it in lipstick and dry erase marker or whatever. Doing this practice at least 3 times, you're going to see a difference. And then if you do it every day, you'll see a big difference. That just sharing that self-love with yourself and acceptance and seeing yourself in your perfection, not the imperfections, but the perfection of you. And that's my gift to you and encouraging you to do that today, starting today.
That's beautiful, you guys.
Beautiful. You know, I just wanted to mention, I'm going to be doing a class this coming Saturday, and it is on healing your inner child. And it will be a perfect opportunity for you to spend some time with that part of you, that where all of this angst was created about body image the first time, and really start to work with that part of yourself and do some healing with it. So I just wanted to put that out there, since we're focusing on inner child work.
And Deb, do you have the link handy? Could you put that in the chat?
I would see if I can do that. Yes.
We'll stay on until you can.
Okay.
And what I would hope for everybody who's listening, that if you struggle with finding that place in yourself where you can hold the grace for yourself, and you're not able to see yourself as beautiful and divine, I want you to think about Deb, Teri, and I, and how we view you. Because that's how we view you, is beautiful, divine, soul energy. Purely, that's it. See yourself as we see you. Deb is looking for the link.
Yeah, I just found it.
Okay.
So I'm going to now put it on the comments.
And next week we'll be back from Mimi's Diner. We're going to be talking about food next week and our love-hate affair with food and how to work through that as a spiritual being living in a physical body. So we hope you'll come back and join us. And this is risk taking, guys. I'm proud of us for coming together and having this kind of vulnerable, intimate conversation out loud. This strikes everybody, every single person.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the whole thing about EWN, really, is living your spiritual life out loud. Whether it's pretty or not, it's out there. So, all right, Deb, you got that posted for folks?
I do. It is posted.
All right.
Thank you.
So I would say, please take a look at Deb's class. You can just do one of them for, what is it, $39 for one?
$9.95, yeah.
Or you can sign up for the rest of the series. So either way, we'd love to have you with us on that. So we're going to let you all go. But thank you for spending time with us today. We love each and every one of you. And what a cool way to have these conversations and allow us to just get even that much closer on our walk. So ladies, I love you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless.